Okay, Samoa playing Greece in the second match today in the Rugby League World Cup. Samoa had to respond to the heavy defeat they suffered at the hands of England on opening night. They've done that, and they've done it in some style. They've won it 72 points to 4. And the power game. They literally just bashed them up the middle. And of course, they've got some of the best outside backs in the NRL in their sides. You've got Brian Toto, you've got Stephen Crichton, Joseph Su'a. You've got some of the best halfbacks in Jaydn Su'a. I mean, they just went up the middle, won the battle up the middle, and then in the wide areas, again, they've got power and pace. Madness, really. The first half, it was 42-0 at half time. Brian Toto scored literally at the end of the first set after just a minute of play. Crichton converted that. Junior Paolo scored on 4 minutes in the second set of play. Crichton converts that. Danny Levi gets his first try in 16 minutes. There was a few handling errors, and the Greeks managed to get some sets on the ball. They had some possession, so the scoring rate slows a little bit. Danny Levi scores on 16 minutes, as I say. Chanel Harris-Tavita got his first try on 22 minutes. Crichton converted that. Royce Hunt, who's had an injury-riddled career, he had a great season at the Cronulla Sharks in the NRL. He had a positive impact as Aloia went off with what looked like a serious knee injury. He scores his try on 30 minutes. Jerome Luai gets a try on 33 minutes. So it's now back-to-back sets again. The scoreboard's starting to blow out. And Tim Laffey scored his try on 37 minutes. So it's 42-0 at half-time. The game's won. They bashed them up the middle. They're outpacing the clock with the scoreboard. They're scoring faster than the clock, which the Australians were keeping pace with the clock against Scotland. Then the second half kicks off and they lose a bit of intensity. They lose a bit of focus, and the Greeks are getting into the arm wrestle. Their defence has tightened up. Mitsas on the Greek right wing has had a fantastic game in defence. Absolutely fantastic game in defence. Massive tackles he's put in the first two games. He's playing reserve grade for the Western Suburb Magpies in Australia, the feeder team to the West Tigers. So he hasn't even played NRL yet, but he's had a fantastic World Cup on a losing side. But the Lachlan Ilias try in 48 minutes, double chip over. Magoulias chips over first. They regain possession. Ilias chips over again. They regain possession, and it's partly because the Samoans have dropped their intensity, and also they've got a very shallow back three at this point. They push the fullback and the two wingers quite high up because they're not expecting it. They're expecting the Greeks to turn over the ball or lose the ball in their half of the field, and they catch them a little bit off guard. And the first 10-15 minutes of the second half, Samoa just lost focus, lost intensity. And that can be a dangerous thing. The Greeks, that was a very good try on their part. Famuno Brown scores his try in 53 minutes. He's come on for Danny Levi in the hooking role. Crichton converted that. And then Stephen Crichton gets his try in 56 minutes. Chanel Harris-Tavita gets his try, a second try in 60 minutes. Fianai gets his try in 64 minutes. Danny Levi comes back on. He gets a try in 69 minutes. And then again, the pace of the game. I mean, they're still ticking the scoreboard over, but they're not as intense as they were in the first half. They are forcing the play unnecessarily, just go through the process. So they're trying to be a little bit too extravagant. They're losing a bit of focus, a bit of intensity, and the Greeks are still making their tackles. They're getting tired. And then the Jaydn Su'a sin bin for the high shot on Mitsas. He may be suspended for the next game because that is head contact. We've seen a few high shots and a few sin bins in the tournament so far, and with the injuries that Samoa have had, that could be a bit of a problem in their forward pack going forward. And then after that, the Greeks still are putting in tackles. Yes, they're being outclassed. And then Tim Laffey gets his second try on 80 minutes. So there we go. That's the scoring. Crichton did end up missing a couple of conversions towards the end. His radar went a little bit off. He's a very, very good goal kicker, as proven this season when Cleary wasn't available for suspension, injury, or origin. Crichton is a very, very capable goal kicker. He has a good over 80% kicking percentage, so he's very competent. But towards the end, he lost a little bit of accuracy with his goal kicks. hooked a few, so they've left points on the field. I think Samoa had to respond to that heavy defeat. They put in a performance, but a little bit of ill discipline and yeah, Aloia going off with an injury. They've got a few injury concerns already. They've had to call in Tim Laffey as late replacement cover for injured players, and the sin bin to Jaydn Su'a. We'll see if he gets a suspension following that. I wouldn't be surprised if there is a few games he's got to sit out. If we're going by precedent, we've seen a few suspensions dished out already for players being put on report and sin binned. And that could also cause some selection headaches in the forward pack for the Samoans going forward. I think the Samoans may have too much for the French in the final group game. I think the French haven't quite settled themselves, and this Samoan side is stacked. But there are a few selection headaches going forward. Greece, look, this is their first World Cup. They've scored in both games. The tries they have scored have actually been pretty good. And that Mixas, they've got Lachlan Ilias, they've got Magoulis, Manazalos, they've got some NRL players in their side. But that Mitsas, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point next season the West Tigers promote him into their starting lineup with Tim Sheens. Tim Sheens has said that they're looking at some of their reserve grade talent to bring into the first grade side. He might get some NRL time next season. I think he's earned that right. He's played very well on a losing Greek side, and he's very good defensively. He's very good under the high ball, diffusing that kind of threat as well. So we'll see what happens with him. So there's some feel good stories from the Greeks, and unlike Scotland, I said this in regards to Jamaica last night and Greece today. They had fight in them. Scotland had no fight in them against Australia. They didn't really have much fight against Italy, and they are at the moment, even after they played 2 games, the lowest scoring side in this tournament with just a try scored. Whereas the other sides that have not won games or haven't or been heavily beaten have put the effort in, and you can see that with this Greek side. They're putting the effort in. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts in the comments section below, and we'll have some more content for you very soon.